This video is going to show you how to do absolute value of a function in terms of whether it's on the input or the output. So let's begin. The first thing I would recommend knowing is the difference of what it looks like. So what I mean by that is if it's the absolute value of the input, your absolute value bars are going to be inside the parentheses like so. That means it's affecting the x, and I'll show you how to do the graph of that here in a second. If it's absolute value of output, your absolute value bars are going to be on the outside of f of x, and this means it's going to affect the y. So you've probably been doing absolute value algebraically throughout your life, but you may not have that much experience with it graphically. It can get a little tricky, so let's go ahead and begin. If you see absolute value of input, so the bars are on the inside of the f of x, basically what you're going to want to do is you need to cut this graph here on the y-axis, and you really don't care about anything to the left of that. You only care about what's to the right, because what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make it mirror image the right side. So basically, if I see a problem like this, the first thing I do is I trace the right side exactly. So I'll use coordinates too, like this first point's at 2 comma 3. So that's like the first point I would put down. So I'm going to go ahead and trace the right side exactly, very first thing. And to be accurate, just find some coordinates and put some dots, and then you can trace it a lot better. Okay, so I've copied the right side down. Now, what I mean by make it mirror the right is exactly what it sounds like. Make it mirror the right. So for example, if I had a point at 2 comma 3 before, well, now there's going to be a point at negative 2 comma 3, like a mirror image. You go all the way to the y-axis like that. Now my next point would be at 5 comma 3. There's a open circle, so that means at negative 5 comma 3 I'm going to have an open circle. Connect the lines, and then I do that with the entire graph. So 5 negative 2, so negative 5 negative 2, etc., etc. Just like that. Notice that the right side is a mirror image of the left side. That's absolute value of the input. Absolute value of the output, this is what you've probably been doing most of your life in regards to absolute value. Like, you've probably been trained absolute value of negative 3 makes it positive. Well, that's what we're going to do, except now we're going to do it graphically. So, if I see absolute value of output, the very first thing I do is I imagine that I'm cutting this along the x-axis now, and all of this stuff that's below the x-axis has to swing up and become positive, just like you've been doing algebraically. So if I was approaching this problem, the very first thing I would do is I would go ahead and copy down everything that is on or above the x-axis. So I would probably start with this point right here, negative 6 comma 2. I would copy that negative 1 comma 0, the 2 comma 3 coordinate, the 5 comma 3 open circle. Go ahead and connect the dots, make it look nice. I've got a spot here at 7 comma 1. Okay, notice I have not touched anything below this x-axis yet. What I'm going to do with that is I'm going to give these things some coordinates. So for example, this coordinate would be negative 7 comma negative 2. Well, apply your absolute value to that y value. And so now it's going to become -7, +2. This coordinate here, 5, -2, is going to become 5, +2. And so on and so forth. Now, you can't just connect these dots. Notice right here, I go all the way to the x-axis. You have to do the same on your new graph. So what I mean by that is there's like a spot at, I don't know, -6 3/4. You have to go and touch that spot still right there. You still have to do that, and then you can go back up and connect it to the other dot. So this part over here is going to look really weird. I know. It's okay if it looks weird. You're going to have basically at 6, 0 and 8, 0, you're going to have spots there that it has to go and hit that x-axis. So make it go and hit at 6 and 8 right there. Then go and connect your dots upward. Now lastly, this part here that goes down and over with an arrow, instead of going down and over, now it's going to go up and over like so. This part over here to the left that went down and to the left, well, now it's going to go up and to the left like that. I know this in general looks weird, but you kind of just have to trust it. Take your y values and make them positive, and then connect the dots after you've touched everything to the x-axis where it needed to hit. Sorry if that was a little confusing. This is a weird concept to try to explain. Okay, the last thing that I want to go over is your teacher might give you something along the lines of, given this point, where's it going to go given absolute value of input or absolute value of output? So let's do input first. If you think about it, if you take the absolute value of an input of a negative number, it's going to spit out the exact same thing as if it was just +7. So the way that you have to kind of think about this is go to your original graph. So I'm right here on my original graph. Find the value for +7. It has a value of 1. So now the point that was at -7, -2 is now going to change. It's going to be at, when I input -7, it does the absolute value of that, which makes it +7. So I have to give it the new y value of the same spot +7 does. So that would be a 1. Let me try to explain that again. Since I apply an absolute value to this -7, it becomes the exact same thing as if it said +7. F of +7 on my original graph had a y value of 1. So now when I apply a transformation, it takes the y value of the positive x. So +7. Again, sorry if that's confusing. This is a really weird topic to try to discuss over video. Lastly, if you take the absolute value of the output, this one's much easier. All you have to do is look at your y value. If it's positive, don't change it. If it's negative, it needs to go positive, just like you've done all your life. So the transformation here would change it to -7, +2. Hope this helped. I hope I didn't confuse you too much.